On today's episode, you'll hear from a founder obsessed with putting fans first, who turned a nearly bankrupt baseball team into a sellout sensation that now plays to millions of fans around the world. This is the Be a Marketer podcast.
Be a Marketer.
My name is Dave Charest, Director of Small Business Success at Constant Contact. And I help small business owners like you make sense of online marketing. And on this podcast, we'll explore what it really takes to market your business, even if marketing's not your thing. No jargon, no hype, just real stories to inspire you and practical advice you can act on. So remember, friend, you can be a marketer. And at Constant Contact, we're here to help. Well, hello, friend, and thanks for joining us for another episode of the Be a Marketer podcast. And join me here, the voice you love hearing next to mine. Say hi, Kelsey.
Hi, Kelsey. Hi, Dave.
That's exactly what I was hoping you would do. And of course, this is the time I choose to say the voice you enjoy hearing next to mine when both of us are a little under the weather.
I know, we sound great.
So we sound amazing. So I hope you'll bear with us as we work our way through this introduction today. But Kelsey, great to see you.
Great to see you as always.
I'm glad we're still able to do this because the show must go on, as they say.
I know, I tried to get it all out beforehand. So.
Well, let's see if we can barrel through. So here's my question for you. What do you get when you take a baseball team obsessed with its fans and influenced by the likes of P.T. Barnum, Walt Disney, Cirque du Soleil, and a little bit of the WWE?
I honestly think that could be the one and only the Savannah Bananas.
That's correct. And what better way to celebrate our 100th episode of the Be a Marketer podcast than having the Savannah Bananas with us here today, right?
I know.
So if you've never heard of the Savannah Bananas, this is an independent exhibition team that really blurs the line between sporting event and, I would say, stage show. And really the epitome of what it means to do things differently. So I love this. Kelsey, who are we chatting with today?
Today, we're chatting with Jessie Cole, the co-founder and owner of Savannah Bananas. We're also joined by Kara Heater, the team's vice president of marketing, and Carson Bowen, the director of ticket experience. The Savannah Bananas' whole approach really comes down to something their owner, Jessie Cole, always says: fans first, entertain always. And that's not just a catchy phrase to them. It's how they make decisions every day, from how they run the team to their customer service. It's really the core of everything they do.
I absolutely love this, and it's really paid off for them. I mean, the team recently sold like 65,000 seats at an NFL stadium, and this is really extraordinary when you really consider that the team started in 2016, and they had only sold a handful of tickets in their first few months. Jesse and his wife, Emily, they really ended up running out of money, and they had to sell their house to keep the dream alive. The goal? Well, let's go to Jesse as he explains.
The whole goal was to start a baseball team that could be fun for everyone. And, I think about Walt Disney when he came up with the idea for Disneyland. He said, I wish there was a place that adults and kids could have fun together. And when I think about what we tried to create was a game that, isn't just your grandpa's favorite pastime. It's something that's, more fun for everyone, kids of all ages. And so we built it, and we did a lot of entertainment at first, a lot of dancing, a lot of celebrating, a lot of promotions. And then we said we had to do it even more. And that's when we created the game of Banana Ball, where we actually changed the rules of baseball to make it faster and more exciting for fans. And from a 2-hour time limit to you win the inning, you get a point, to no stepping out, no bunting, no mound visits, to fans catching a foul ball for outs. We really recreated the game to make it best for fans. And that's where we are. We're doing world tours all over the country, and we have big plans to go international in the future with more teams and build the league and really just try to bring this game to more people.
Amazing. Would you mind sharing just, and you don't have to get into like specific details, or percentage or but how does the business make money today?
Well, that's not the first question we think about. And so whenever I get asked that question, my mind says that's not even part of the mindset for us. What we think about is, how do we create fans? Every question we ask is, will it create fans? Is it fans first? When the name of your company is Fans First Entertainment and your mission is to be fans first, entertain always, that guides all your decisions. We're fortunate. By creating fans, we happen to produce revenue. And whereas most sports teams, most leagues, they drive their revenue from sponsorship and TV rights, No, we drive our revenue from the people that support us, and that's our fans. And so everything we do is for them. And so, yes, when you think about it, it's ticket sales and it's merchandise. That's 90 to 95% of our entire business is selling tickets to fans, creating an amazing experience that then they want to wear merchandise all over and share how much they love that brand. That's everything for us.
So it's interesting when you say that, right? You bring up that idea of sponsorship, and you would think a professional sports team in many ways, right?
Yeah.
Like you're like, whoa, that's of course what they're going to do. And I love what you do. You don't even have sponsorships like within in the stadium. Or how do you even think through sponsorships? I'm sure you do some things, but it's in a different way, right?
Yeah, when you look at all the big leagues and how they drive their revenue, it is 50%, TV rights, 20, 30, 40% sponsorship. We are 1% partnership and 1% TV rights. It's complete opposite model. And so, yeah, we don't look at sponsors in a conventional way. We look at everything as, again, will it create fans or will it add to a fan experience? I don't believe anybody comes to a ballpark to be sold to, marketed to, or advertised to. I don't believe anybody goes on TV to watch ads, unless it's the Super Bowl, but we get noise every single day from every single outlet about people trying to sell us and promote to us. Our focus is how do we create the best experience? And so, yes, in Grayson Stadium, 100-year ballpark, we took away all our ads in 2020 and we dedicated it back to the fans. We literally have a fan wall instead of where there's sponsor ads, where fans actually get to sign and put their name on the wall. And so that's how we look at everything. There's a reason why we have no ticket fees, no convenience fees, no service fees. We pay our fans taxes. There's no shipping fees. It's why our games are all free on YouTube. Every single thing we ask, is this best for fans?
I love all of this. I think, and we'll get into it a little bit more. I want to stay on the background here just a little bit before we get into that. But was owning a business something you thought was this in the plan for you? Was this something you thought you were going to do from early on, or?
No, my goal was to play baseball. I wanted to be a professional baseball player like most kids back in the day. And, I was fortunate. I had some opportunities and then tore my shoulder, which was the best thing that ever happened to me because it got me working in the front office. And, I don't think I ever thought, let's start owning a team. I didn't have money. I started as a 23-year-old GM. There was $268 in the team bank account. I couldn't pay myself for 3 months because we weren't driving any revenue. I was paid minimal at anything when I finally did get paid. And so it was just, I fell in love with something. I fell in love with the idea of creating something that people have never seen before. I fell in love of getting people together at the ballpark. There's something to be said about, especially now more than ever, about bringing people together and feeling like they're a part of something. I think back just a couple weeks ago, and we were playing our first NFL stadium with 65,000 people. And you look around during Yellow, and everyone's got their flashlights up, and we're singing Yellow together. And we're all a part of a moment. And I think that's something that I just really gravitated towards and wanted to create since day one. And so that's the focus. Bring people together, bring joy, bring fun. And if you do it well, the money takes care of itself.
So when did it transition from, so I guess, you got hired, you're doing these things. It wasn't what this is now, right? At that beginning stages, I'm assuming, you tell me if I'm wrong, but like, when was this transition? Like, how did this start to happen? And then when did it become about like the entertainment and all of that? Like, what was that journey like?
Well, for 10 years, I ran a team in Gastonia, the Gastonia Grizzlies. And that's where we were failing. There was only 200 fans coming to the game. So I read every book about P.T. Barnum, Walt Disney, started reading about Circus Soleil, WWE. And we started saying, hey, we're not going to be like everyone else. So that first year, people don't realize back, almost 20 years ago, we had players dance for the first time. Because I said, hey, we want people to think of something different. So players literally did the jump on it dance for the first time. We had a grandma beauty pageants. We had flatulence fun nights. We had salute to underwear nights. We had dig to China nights where we actually buried a trip to China. But when the woman found it, it was only a one-way ticket to China, a one-way flight there, no flight back and no accommodations. She wasn't that happy. That was our marketing. That wouldn't have been good from marketing. I eventually gave her a cruise, but we gave away porta-johns. We did just ridiculous things. And I just wanted to try things and experiment and make people think that it wasn't like baseball. So that was 10 years of doing that. Eventually, my wife and I met Emily, and she became our director of fun in Gastonia. And we ended up buying that team. And that team went from, last in the country in attendance to fourth in the country. It started selling out games in little small Gastonia. And at that point, we heard about the opportunity in Savannah, Georgia. And so they had minor league baseball for 90 years. And we came in, they were leaving because they wanted a new $38 million stadium. And the city said no, they weren't drawing fans. They left. We convinced the city to give us a shot. We showed up and the ballpark was abandoned. Literally everything was taken out. The phone lines were cut. The internet lines were cut. And it was Emily and I and our president, Jared, 24-year-old, 3 22-year-olds out of college. And we said, let's make it happen. And we only sold a handful of tickets in our first few months. And we ran out of money. We missed payroll. Emily and I had to sell our house. And we had to then create attention and get people to understand that this is unlike the former baseball team or any baseball team that had ever been in Savannah. So that's when it went from running a team to owning a team, going from zero debt to over $1 million in debt, and taking on a bigger thing than we ever imagined. And we had to change, our mindset. We couldn't just be an employee. We had to go in and own it in a different way than anyone had ever owned a team before. And that's really when Savannah started back in 2016.
What was that pressure doing to you? How did that change how you approach things or just what were you going through? Like, does it change your mentality at all?
Well, lack of sleep was number one. I mean, and that's partly because of Emily getting a twin airbed. She didn't even get a queen or king airbed. So we had a twin airbed sleeping in an old garage. So lack of sleep and lack of eating real food, because we were grocery shopping with just $30 a week. That went on for months. But yeah, no, I think what I've learned and what we've seen with everything is you can talk and you can talk. Everyone talks about marketing. Oh, you guys are good at marketing. It's like, well, thank you. But really what we're really good at is creating a great experience, capturing it, and then sharing it. And so we were just talking. We were doing social media like everyone else, talking like everyone else. It wasn't until they came to that first show and they watched players go in the crowd and deliver roses to little girls. They watched as we threw out the first banana. They watched as we lifted a baby in a banana costume up in the air and sang, "Na Savannah," to start the game, which makes no sense. They watched all that. And so that was the biggest thing, is we had to get people to that first game. We had to deliver an experience that was remarkable. And then we could just market that, promote that, share that, let people share that. And that's when it started taking care of itself.
So just to give people an idea who may not know, I didn't really even understand the whole, like I know of you guys, of course, right? But like in doing the research and stuff, I would guess I would say the closest to what I can think of that you might be related to, and I know it's not completely the same, but I mean, I would have to say what, Harlem Globetrotters? I mean, is that a fair comparison in terms of what you guys do?
It's certainly fair, and we've heard it over and over again. And if you said that to me in the 1940s and 50s, it would probably be the greatest honor we could ever have upon ourselves. Because in the 1940s and 50s, they were the most famous sports team, the most successful sports team in the world. The NBA was booking them to play before NBA games so they could get fans to stay for the NBA games. They beat the Lakers. Literally, Wilt Chamberlain played for the Globetrotters before he played for anybody in the NBA. They were selling out Madison Square Garden back-to-back nights. They played in front of 75,000 people in Berlin. They were the most famous sports team in the world. But then something happened. And they said, well, if we just replicate and do the same show every single night, we don't have one Globetrotter team, we have two, we have three, this will be easy and we'll create fans all over. But what happened is they started doing the same show over and over again and fans didn't have the same reaction. It became kind of tired to some.
Yeah.
And so now the Globetrotters, tons of respect, 100-year business. Any business that makes it 100 years is doing something right. And they are still playing all over the world.
Absolutely, yeah.
But for us now, because every single night it's dramatically different. We have 4 teams. We're about to have 6 teams. We're launching our own league, the Banana Ball Championship League. Every night we do between 10 to 15 things we've never done in front of a live crowd. There's 20 to 30 trick plays people haven't seen. There's new dances, new walk-ups, new celebrations. Every night it's not scripted. So whereas the Globetrotters win every night, what's going to happen, or here comes the slow motion, here comes the confetti, here comes this. Every night you never know what you're going to get. And that's why we're fortunate. We have fans all over the country that travel hours and hours to watch them play, because you never know what's going to happen. We're building the sport of banana ball. We're not just building one team in the Savannah Bananas. And when you think about the party animals, our second team, they have more followers than every Major League Baseball team on TikTok. That's our second team. And so that's what's happening, is we're creating fans first, and then we're building the league, and then we're going to keep growing that as we go.
Awesome. So I want to go to the team here. Kara, when you start thinking about just your role in all this, how did you get involved?
Yeah, so I actually started back in 2018. I was the marketing intern for that summer. After the summer was over, I was asked to stay on, and I worked part-time remotely while I finished up my last year of college, actually. And I did that for 2 years. I actually went and got a whole full-time job somewhere else for a bit. And Bananas was kind of my little side gig for a little bit there. And then actually came on full-time in 2020 and kind of just been rocking and rolling ever since.
What are you responsible for? Let's start there.
Yeah, so I help oversee everything that goes out on social media. So I work very closely with Jesse, the rest of our marketing team, our video team, and our entertainment team to basically just choose, from idea generation to execution to actually posting what's going out on each team's social media pages and platforms.
Got it. What do you love most about the role?
Ooh, I think it's being able to tell the story of the game for the fans who aren't able to make it to the game. So obviously in the digital world, we know that there's a lot of people following us who haven't been able to make it to a game just yet. And it's really cool to be able to see how much they enjoy the content and to be able to tell the story of the night for them after each game. And also just see their brand loyalty grow and their fandom grow and see them, now that we have more than just one team, pick a fandom for a certain team, I think is really special.
What do you find most challenging about the role?
I think it will always be the same for any digital media stuff is how quickly things change in the social media world, whether it
Yeah.
be trends, algorithms, just pop culture relevant stuff. Everything is constantly changing. So it's a lot to keep up with and adapt. But I also think that's what we're so good at. Because we're able to just adapt and not have that red tape of what can we do, what can we not do. As long as it's putting the fans first and making baseball fun, we know that it's right for us.
Yeah. Carson, I want to go to you. How'd you get involved in all this?
Sure. I was working for another team in the Coastal Plain League. So I was with the Wilmington Sharks from 2014 until 2020. It was to the point towards the end of my time there in Wilmington where I had to stop watching the Bananas content because they're so good. I'll never be the Bananas. I can never do that. And then I got a call one day from Jared who said, hey, if a position opened up here, would you want to learn about it? I tried to play it cool, but on the inside, I'm celebrating like, okay, here we go. I can join the good guys. So yeah, October 2020 was my first time with the Bananas here.
Okay, so what are you responsible for now in the organization?
The ticketing process. So from before they buy tickets to the time they're buying tickets to after they have the tickets, what does their experience look like? How can my team map out their process to make it as frictionless as possible to where they're like, hey, that was a fun ticket buying process, something that not a lot of people can say.
Yeah, I want to get into some specifics of the things that you guys do in a little bit, but what do you love most about your role?
I think my favorite thing about the role is the opportunity to problem solve and solve problems for people that they don't know they have or that they could have. So, if you ask people 200 years ago what they wanted, they would say faster horses. But, how can we create a process that is able to push the fan experience forward digitally to complement what they see online, to complement what they see on the field?
Most challenging for you?
The fact that we can change everything about our ticketing process. So we can't just have the excuse of, oh, that's just the way our ticket system is built. So, we have the ability to change everything. So that's my favorite thing about the job. And also my least favorite thing is we can do anything.
That's interesting. So Jesse, I want to ask you the same questions. What do you love most about particularly where you are now? And then what do you find most challenging about it?
It's the moments. It's always the moments. So I think, I live by those moments. And what's amazing is that we've been able to create these moments that didn't exist, not just for, ourselves, but everyone on our team, the players that all had dreams of playing Major League Baseball, to go play at their favorite Major League stadiums, whether it's Fenway Park or Yankee Stadium this year, to play in front of 65,000 at a football stadium. But it's those moments. I mentioned Yellow before. I also have Hey Baby. It's a moment that we all dance and you get, 50,000 people doing it. Or at the end of the night, we put our arms around each other. We sing Stand By Me. It sounds kumbaya. But again, you look around, you say, there's nowhere else in the world that's doing that. Or with this team, I look at Carson and Kara, after a night that we just killed it. I mean, the content was great. The moments were great. You could feel it. Like Philadelphia last year, our biggest crowd up to that point was 45,000. And you could feel it. The electricity. It was unbelievable. When we first came out and 3 hours before the game, there was 20,000 fans in the streets. And it was like, this is special. The ticket operation went smooth. The marketing went smooth. The moments went smooth. Banana Ball was smooth. You look around and at the end of the night, seeing everyone that made it happen. I mean, Dave, what people don't realize is we travel with over 200 plus people. You mentioned the Globetrotters earlier. They travel with 30. So we're traveling with 7 times the amount of people to put on this show. And Kara had this famous line that she said, and wasn't supposed to be famous, but ended up being famous. It was when we first did our ESPN show on Banana Land series. And she said, we're just a bunch of kids running a baseball team. And I still feel like that. I've now reached the 40s. I'm over the hill, obviously, in our team. But I still feel like a kid with that energy of running a team and doing things that never happened before for fans. And the moment is as great as it is with the fans and celebrating. It's afterwards that we get to look at each other and say, look at what we just did. That's the cool thing. And that happens the last few years. It's happening almost every month, every 2 months. We're doing it regularly. And that's what's so exciting. And that's like a drug for me. It's like, well, what can we do next year that we've never done before? Where could we play? So it's those moments and that excitement that I love. And what was the second part? The most challenging?
The challenging piece of that, yeah.
It's people. Everyone, we have a very strong vision. We know where we're going. And, people on our team joke, if we said we're going to play at the moon, we probably will. And I'm not saying we won't do that at some point. We might be able to get there. But it's the people on the way to getting.
Are those still going to be $35 tickets, though?
All I can tell you, there will be no ticket fees, no convenience.
Right.
I can guarantee that. But when I think about the challenge, it's the people. We have, right here on this call, you have 2 A players, and we look about the great people that are part of our team. And then how do you continue to build those A players? Because A players want to work and play with the best players. And when we're growing so fast, how do you make sure those great people are aligned and growing? And so daily we're thinking about the people that are on the bus with us. Are they in the right seats on the bus? Are they going in the right direction with us? And we need that. And we have to course correct with people. Every single day, we're trying to work on that. So that is the thing that is the most difficult. It's trying to make sure that we have the right people, that they love what they do, they're passionate what they do, and they're doing great work every single day. And if we can continue to do that, it's going to be pretty fun the next 5 to 10 years.
Well, so I think you mentioned something that's really important, though, right? Is that idea of having a vision, right? And knowing specifically where you are trying to go, because then it's easier to get everybody else on board, right? Because you all have a clear idea of where that's going. And so when you think about, of course, you're talking about this idea of, fans first, entertain always. Talk to us a little bit more about that. Like, what does that look like? You mentioned some of the things, but like, how does that go throughout the organization to help you do that?
Well, it's clear on who we are and what we stand for and where we're going. But the big challenge is that we're doing things that have never been done before.
Mm-hmm.
And anytime you do things that have never been done before, it's hard. It's extremely hard. And we don't know. And we make mistakes and we mess up. And we hope that it's going to go this right way. But we know that if we are singularly minded, like we get a lot of criticism now, Dave. It's as soon as you start growing up, you get criticism. And what I realize is that I can't get down the criticism because we know we are doing the right thing. If we know in our hearts that we are doing things that are best for fans, that we believe is going to be the best experience, that we're trying to make amends the best way we can, then we can't let that frustrate us. But yeah, I mean, it's every decision. We have to literally look at every decision. And so that is every single thing that we do at our games, whether it's a celebration, whether it's a walk-up, whether it's every email that goes to fans. Is that email clear, number one? Is it making sure that we're doing the right thing? When we make a mistake, how do we come back and make it better? All those things, it has to be guided by that spirit. Is this best for fans? And what the big challenge is now, one time you'll do something that's best for one group of fans, but it might not be best for another group of fans.
Sure, yeah.
And so, we have our K Club members, we have our local fans in Savannah, we have groups, we have people all over the country. And no matter what, something you do might not be best for this fan. And you have to choose, is this best for the greater good of our fans overall? And those are decisions that we have to weigh every single day. And we have to hold ourselves accountable to say, we believe it's the best thing that we can do for fans. And we have to get in front of people and say it over and over again and believe in it. And if our team doesn't believe in it, we don't believe in it, we're not doing our job. So it guides us. We will never put added fees on people. We will never do things just for money. We will never take a sponsor just to take money. We will never do any of that. If we can do things to be a better experience for fans, we will always try to find a way to say yes to that.
Yeah. So, of course, talking about experience for fans, one of the things that is not always an enjoyable experience is the ticketing aspect of this, right? And as someone who goes to a lot of shows, the ticket fees are outrageous, as you mentioned. Maybe, Carson, I'll go to you on this. Like, talk to me about the ticketing platform, right? The Fans First Tickets, is this this is the name of it? Like,
that's right.
I mean, I feel like a lot of people would resign to, we have to do it a certain way, but you said, no, we're going to create our own thing. So what's that experience like?
The only people I think that we can trust with our own ticketing process is ourselves. I think to ship that experience out to someone else would be relying on the way that the industry was built around making money, just squeezing every dollar and cent out of fans. And again, that's not our interest. Our interest is making this experience as smooth as possible for our fans. So being able to dissect every single piece of the ticketing process, like what does this arrow look like? What is the button shaped like? When they click here, how long does it take for them to get a confirmation email? What does that confirmation email say? Is there a video in there? How often do we change that video out? We're able to dissect every little tiny piece of the process because, we understand that people, it's not just buying a QR code. It's buying a family outing. It's celebrating someone's birthday. These things, it represents something. It's not just buying a ticket.
Dave, can I jump on that for a second?
Please, yeah.
Go back to November of 2015, and we've only sold a handful of tickets. We're pretty much out of money, and we have to make a decision on how are we going to sell tickets if we are able to actually sell tickets. And so we have in front of us, we've got 2 ticketing platforms, and they're saying it's going to cost this fee plus $1 to $2 per ticket. So we said, all right, well, if we sell 100,000 tickets, which was the whole season, plus the fees, it's costing us about $150,000. And they're like, no, it doesn't cost you. Just put that on your fans. I'm like, no. The name of our company is Fans First Entertainment. We won't do that. It's going to cost us $150,000. And then if we sell more tickets, it's going to continue to cost us more. That decision was very clear. We will not go with the main ticket brokers right there. So then we found this upstart little ticket company that they were doing it for a few different groups. And they said, hey, it'll be about $2,000 and all your tickets, you do all that. I'm like, oh, we can handle that. And they let us kind of custom design and do all that. They hadn't worked with many people. We said, yes, we'll do it. We figured it out. So we kept doing it. Then as we started getting bigger, it started shutting down. So then we went to them and said, we got a crazy idea. How about if we buy your company? So We bought them, and then working with Carson, Jared, Kara, we started saying, all right, how do we now build this to be something that we think is best for our fans? And so now we built our own ticketing platform, Fans First Ticket, where there's no ticket fees, no convenience fees, no service fees. And now any stadium in the country, we can build the manifest for it, build all the seating, do it the way we want. And so that was a long game play that we made back in the day. And we said, hey, our decision making based on Fans First, it was a no-brainer. There was no other option.
Yeah.
And that has guided us to where we are now with our own ticketing platform.
Well, I was going to say, this is an interesting thing, right? And I love the way you said, like, guides us, right? Because, like, I think as a business owner, or even what you're going to do in your everyday life, you're going to be making decisions time and time again. Oftentimes, you might not always have the best information. And so sometimes you need that thing to guide you to say, all right, well, does this match this? If it doesn't, then the answer is no. If it does, the answer is yes. And sometimes you just need that shortcut, right? Mm-hmm. And I love what you're saying here about that idea of, all right, well, we can't do that because it goes against everything that we stand for. And then it leads you down that other path, which then creates a whole new other set of opportunities, right?
And we had no money.
Yeah.
People don't realize, I love the fact that we had no money. Yeah. Constraints foster creativity.
Oh, yeah.
Because we had no money, we had to think differently. And I want to make sure, like, one of our Fans First principles is relentlessly resourceful. And because of that, that guides us to have even more constraints and do things that, if you have a lot of money, you'll make this one decision. But that's not always best for fans.
Yeah.
What does this now give us an opportunity to do? We think about that constantly.
Yeah. Kara, first, I want to say my wife wanted me to tell you that she absolutely loves the Savannah Bananas TikTok. I'm not on TikTok, but I've been informed it's amazing. So kudos to you on that. What can you tell me about your content strategy there? Like, how are you looking at that?
Yeah, I think it all goes back to our mission statement, fans first, entertain always. When we're posting content, we ask ourselves these 3 questions. So is it fans first? If the answer is no, we're going back to the drawing board. That second question is, does this make baseball fun? We want to make sure that we're doing things on a baseball field that nobody's ever seen before. So we're taking ideas from things totally outside our industry. Like Jesse said, Cirque du Soleil. We're looking at Broadway theater shows, stuff like that. Not always the sports entertainment industry, because we want to be different. We want to stand out. And then that last question is it shareable? Is this something that we are proud enough to share to our own friends and family on our personal pages? And if the answer is no, why in the world would be okay and proud enough to share it with the millions of fans that follow us on social media? So that guides a lot of our strategy. And then it also kind of comes back to that. Fans don't want to feel sold. They want to feel valued. We realized back in 2018, 19, we had all this engagement drop and none of our posts were doing that well. And it was because we took a look at our content and we were like, well, it's because we're asking our fans to do something with every single post. It was, hey, buy a ticket for this. Hey, join this list. Hey, buy our merchandise. And we were like, of course it's not doing well. They don't want a call to action post. So if you go on our social media pages, you'll notice that 99% of what we post is things that are just for fans to enjoy. We want to bring positivity to the world and let fans experience just a moment of relief where they don't have to worry about anything that happens in the outside world. So whether that be at a show itself in person or online, that's what we're really looking to do, is just spread joy and bring things to fans that they'll just enjoy.
Carson, I want to go back to you and something you mentioned just in terms of just like how you're communicating with ticket buyers and through that experience and that journey. And one of the things that I really love that you do, I come from a theater background and I used to do some marketing for a theater too. And I was in New York at the time, and imagine, right, theater in the strangest places, like you're in an alley between two things or like all this. And one of the things that you do in the emails that you send out to ticket buyers is the know before you go guides. And to me, this is something that is so overlooked by people because particularly when people are going to some place they've never gone before or doing something they've never done before, I don't think people appreciate how much anxiety people have about that. And I love that you put these things in there. Like, just talk me through just how you, for lack of a better phrase, like you hold somebody's hand once they've bought a ticket to kind of guide them along that journey until they actually get to the stadium. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, I like the way you phrase that. Yeah, we hold their hands a little bit. We guide them. So we're the Sherpas to get them to the top of the Banana Land mountain here. Yeah, I think you said it best. You know, when you're going to somewhere you've never been before, where am I going to park? What time do I get there? What kind of food are they going to eat? What are the things that I can expect when I get there? So because there are so many things that we do differently in terms of what happens on the baseball field, you know, we need to make sure that people are well informed about what time to be in their seats when those crazy things start happening on the field. So It takes a lot of effort for my team to have those conversations with the host cities and the hosts that are having us for these couple of games, trying to make sure that, again, we are getting the right information to the right people at the right time. The day after people buy tickets, they don't need to know exactly where they're going to be parking, right? They don't need to know exactly what the bag policies are. They might know it, but they're going to forget it. So how can we time that correctly so where when the time comes to book flights and get hotels, they're not thinking about where to park. How do we get them that information at the right time leading up to their event?
Kara, when you talk about all these things that you're doing from a marketing perspective, how do you get that stuff done? Are you blocking time in your calendar? Are you guys meeting regularly? What does that whole process look to actually get things out the door?
In terms of content, you mean specifically?
Yeah.
So we actually took inspiration from SNL here. So we kind of have a pretty standard setup throughout the week. So every Tuesday we have what we call our OTT meetings, which is OTT stands for over the top. So basically it's where a bunch of us meet, we come together and we pitch ideas for the games that we're going into that weekend. So what things are we going to do in our games? What's going to be the new thing that the fans are going to see this weekend? And from there, we sit down and choose those things and plan out our script. So the games are not scripted, much to everyone's thought, but some of the entertainment pieces are. So we're able to put in, okay, during Bill Leroy's third AB, he's going to do a walk up lip syncing to Ariana Grande's new song or something along those lines. And then at 4 p.m., we have a full table read with everybody who's going to the games and working the games that weekend. So it's basically where we just go through every single entertainment piece that we're doing on the script. So that's everything from promos to these OTT moments, which are walk-ups, run celebrations, all that good stuff. And then after that, Wednesday and Thursday is spent for some fine tuning on those ideas, getting the music cut, all that good stuff. And then we go into rehearsals. So the entertainment team will actually connect with the players and go ahead and get a head start on what it is they're doing that weekend. So they have to learn dances. They have to learn all these crazy things and remember them to put on the best show we can. So they spend some extra time doing rehearsals with them. And then we get to game day and it's another round of rehearsals just to make sure that we're actually nailing it all. And that's when our video team gets involved and is actually walking through like, okay, this is how we're filming it. We're coming down from the first base grandstands or we're coming from the center field gate and making sure that the route we've chosen is perfect, that the timing lines up, that they're going to end up in the best places to make the video come to life. And then from there, it gets put into the hands of the social team where we choose, hey, this is what platform this makes sense to go out on. We know that this was trending on TikTok, so we're just going to put it out on TikTok tonight. And then there's other things where it's like, okay, we know this is not a TikTok trend, so it's going out on just X or just Facebook. So it's a lot of different departments on the creative side coming together to make sure that things from the very beginning of idea generation come to plan and come to fruition throughout all the execution and rehearsals to eventually, hopefully, do very well and provide some good content for our fans on social media.
Thank you for that. So Jesse, I had a question here, but I have a feeling I know how you're going to answer it. So I want to rephrase it a little. Right. But like the question was going to be, what does success look like for you and how do you measure it? Right. And so I'm assuming there's going to be an answer about a fan here. Right. And making sure that people are taken care of. So I want to rephrase it a bit. How do you get to that point? What was the thing in you that triggered, no, this is how we do it? Because I've often, I'm a big believer in that idea of like, look, if you focus on the people you're trying to reach, you help them become successful and you do the right things happen. But how do you get there?
Well, I learned from George Lucas, Star Wars, and Ed Catmull from Pixar. And they said they wanted to create movies that they would love. And he said, I want to create something I would love. I thought about that. And I think if you really want to build something truly special, you have to have yourself in mind. And are you building something that you love more than anything? And I think about now people in sports and, people that are in the game, that work for teams, they don't watch every game. And so I thought about this, how can we create something that, I would never get bored? And I've seen it all. Every pitch, you never know what's going to happen. Every play in a ground ball that's hit in the infield, you never know what trick play they're going to do. You never know what celebration the hitter's going to do. You never know what's going to happen in between innings. You never know what's going to happen at the end of the game. You don't even know what's going to happen 6 hours before the gates open when we do our rope drop. All those moments, I think it was just, really is creating something that I would love. And then I believe that if I created something I would love, and we all created it together, when I look at Kara, Carson, and our team, when we get fired up about doing something, there's a different feeling. We go into rehearsals and we're jazzed, we're high-fiving, we're dancing. I mean, there's videos of Kara literally teaching full dances to One Direction songs. And we perform better when we're passionate about something, when we're having fun, when we're energized by it. And it's not just doing the same thing over and over again. And when you look at these sports teams that play 162 games a year, and every year it's like, oh, well, we hope we have a good year this year. They hope they win. We are hedging our bets by no matter what happens, we're going into a weekend, we're excited about some things we're going to do. Then we're going to have that energy that then is contagious with our players, our cast, our fans, and everyone else. And so that for me, when you look at success, it's that passion, excitement, and energy that as a leader, you show up and then everyone else has that around them and we can feel it. We go into a stadium, we can feel it. We know it's going to be a night people will never forget because we're bringing that energy because we're excited, because we're a fan as well of what we're doing. So how do you create something that you're a fan of, that you love, that you're passionate about? How every day the work that you're doing, are you not only proud of it, like you want to share? Like I have my 3 kids that are under 6 years old. Every day they draw something. Daddy, look, they want to share. Like they are so excited. That is awesome. Somehow some of us lose that when we become adults. And we just go through the motions of doing the same old work that we have to do. It's that passion, that excitement, that energy that fires everyone up. And so when I look at success, if I can surround myself with people that have that same type of energy, that are proud of the work they're doing, that get fired up about the work they're going to do, everything else will take care of itself.
Yeah, love it. So I want to use the rest of our time. So the main audience here listening to us today will be Constant Contact customers, folks using the same platform as you. And so I wanted to ask some things specific to how you're using the platform. But first I was wondering, how did you end up at Constant Contact? What brought you to Constant Contact? Does anybody have an answer for that?
Oh, geez.
I don't know.
That's many years ago. Many years ago. If I were to say an honest answer, it was because of great branding. And great knowledge and great job getting out there. I think that's what it was. Standing out versus the competition.
Gotcha. Overall, how's that Constant Contact experience been like for you?
Disaster. No, I just...
There's our clip. Thank you, everybody.
Gary, you could go on this one.
Yeah, it's been incredible. I think what stands out about Constant Contact so much is the help that the support team's able to provide us. So not only are we able to customize all these templates and make our emails perfect for fans, depending on whether they're getting an email from the bananas, the party animals, the tailgaters, the firefighters, we're able to customize everything. But also it's just a very simple platform too, which I think we all love. So it's not overly complicated and you know that you can just go in and find exactly what you're looking for and get things done. And it allows us to touch base with our fans in ways that we, might not be able to in other platforms.
Yeah. Can you talk to me a little bit about, you guys have 62% open rates. The last we looked at 5% click rates, really, highly engaged numbers. Can you talk me through a little bit of what you're doing? Just like an overview of how you're actually using the platform and what are the types of things that you're doing with your emails?
Yeah, I think the overall strategy is we don't reach out to people and we don't send them an email unless we have to or we need to. We never want to be the people who are sending 52 emails a day and they have to unsubscribe 82 times to try and finally get rid of them out of their inbox. That's not us. We want people to get the information that they've asked for. So whether that be for tickets, for merchandise, for broadcast emails, anything along those lines, we are strictly communicating with them for the things that they're interested in. So Carson handles all of the ticketing emails. So it's on sale dates to here's your lottery time slot to the know before you goes. And then we also follow up on email too and say, thanks for coming. We have handwritten letters go out after each weekend from either a player, a coach, a staff member that just thank the people for coming. So it's a really cool way to just touch with our fans and get them information they need and also just thank them every now and then too.
Yeah. When you think of segmentation, I have to imagine you're using segmentation, maybe even tags come into play for you. Talk me through how you think or approach that.
Yeah, I think we want to dive into that a lot more. The support team's actually starting to help us build out a plan to get fully segmented for merch and broadcast and content and tickets. So we're kind of in the midst of that right now. But I know that Carson utilizes the tags a lot for when it comes to our lottery list. So I'll let Carson talk through that a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. To Kara's point about not wanting to send people emails just for the heck of it, like, oh gosh, we have an email scheduled for later this month. Let's send it to everybody. We're going to make sure we're sending it to people who have asked for that content. We're also going to be mindful that okay, these people might have just gotten an email from us about their tickets for St. Louis or an upcoming lottery sale for Charlotte, North Carolina. Maybe we don't want to send them this one particular email because they just got one from us 4 hours later, or they will get one from us soon. So using that segmentation to make sure that, again, we're not pestering these fans basically with our emails.
Are you using any automation at all within Constant Contact?
We recently utilized it for our merchandise campaign in December. We launched a full holiday catalog, a bunch of new pieces, and we were able to test it out for the first time back then. And it went really, really well. We were able to put in automations to where if they purchased a product, they got a thank you email that was just a very fun, shows you the process of how your package is shipped and packaged and then given out to you and how it ends up on your doorstep. And then if they didn't purchase, they actually got a follow-up email that was kind of like, hey, we saw you like the party animals gear. We saw you like the tailgaters gear. Just wanted to remind you these things are, available kind of stuff. It was a lot more fun than that, but that was the general consensus.
Another scenario here where you're all talking about just really thinking through that whole experience. And I think in making it your own, I think it's very easy to sometimes let the platform, whatever that is that you may be using, kind of take over the experience for you a little bit, right? And what it does. But I love that you're actually thinking through and then sending that follow-up, doing that thing that is really interesting. And I know you've worked with marketing advisors to get the Shopify integration set up. Can you tell me a little bit about what that experience has been like you and really what's changed for you on your side of just even getting things done since activating that?
Yeah, that's been phenomenal. I think just the fact that we don't have to manually upload those lists anymore is amazing. It's just automatically in there. But also it gives us the ability to understand what customers want and what fans want to see, whether that be more party animal stuff, more banana stuff, all that. So we know, again, just exactly what they're looking for. And we're not just sending them random emails. But the Shopify's been really awesome. You're able to integrate the products in there perfectly and really assemble the email to the design aesthetic that you want, which has been really cool.
Yeah. So Jesse, we talk about, being in the stadium, right? Feeling what's going on, right? There's a palpable thing you can feel. How deep do you get into, obviously with a platform like Constant Contact, you get access to data, right? Like you can actually see the things people are clicking on and the things that you can't feel, right? Because there's this digital screen before you, right? Like, do you dig into any of that at all, or do you leave that to the team?
Data can be very valuable. I think there's just so much data now, and sometimes people get way into data and not focused on the human connection. And I think there's a balance. I go back to before we had real data. We were watching when our fans were leaving the ballpark, and we were monitoring, we're taking pictures and video. Now we keep track. That's a very important metric that I pay attention to. Is I don't believe anybody goes to a great movie and leaves a movie in the middle and says, "Oh, that was great. I left halfway through," or they go to a great comedy act, or they went, "Oh, I went to Taylor Swift. She was amazing. I left halfway through the set." Like, you just don't do that. Yet in baseball, it happens all the time. And so I pay attention to that data, and I pay attention to what do we do to make our shows even better. I think open rates are very interesting, but again, you're competing in a world of noise. So it's a metric that's valuable, but also not. Like, I'm paying attention to, like Kara said, on shares. What videos are we creating that people want to share? The best form of marketing is word of mouth marketing. Create experience that people want to tell other people about. And so, yes, data is valuable, but again, what data matters most? And I think a lot of people, they focus on the metrics that matter most to them. They don't focus on the metrics that matter most to their customers. So for instance, how quickly can someone, if they reach out to us, how quickly do they get a response? If they call our phone, how quickly do they get a response? They leave a voicemail, how quickly do they get a response? When they're standing in line at our ballpark, how long do they wait in line? How long does it take them to get into their seats? How long does it take them to park and walk up and get in? All those things, those metrics matter, because that's the metrics that matter in the fans' first ecosystem. And so those are the things that I think about more. If you make every part of the experience better for fans and listen to those metrics, again, the revenue, everything else that matters to a business will take care of itself.
Yeah. When you all think about all that you're doing, obviously on location, but then digitally, and then being able to have your fans opt in, right, to get messages from you and follow that along. I mean, when you start thinking about that, like, what would it be like trying to do all of that without Constant Contact?
It'd be hard. I don't know where we would put everybody. I think it would be a lot harder, genuinely. It's been nice to be able to have just an organized place to keep all those things, to make sure that, again, we're not hitting the wrong people with the wrong emails and the wrong messages, and that we can always go back to, if somebody says, I accidentally unsubscribed, we can go in, see exactly what happened, and then pop them back in, send them the resubscribe. So I think it's just great to have a place that's very organized, that we can always kind of rely on for all these different fans that we're getting messages to. And so, yeah, I just think it would be a lot harder if we didn't have constant content.
Thinking about this, our goal, we have no interest in being $1 billion business, but we want to create 1 billion fans.
Yeah.
This year alone, we'll play in front of over 2.1 million fans. Our email list is going to be approaching 5 million soon. And so we consider those fans. Every fan that interacts with us, whether it's on social media, whether it's coming to a game, whether it's on our email, that's an opportunity to create a fan and create a lifelong fan. So those metrics matter to us. And without constant contact or a platform or a place that we can kind of hold on to those fans and continue to communicate with them, we wouldn't be able to grow towards 1 billion fans. So it's all part of the process and extremely important every step of the way.
So we're coming to the top of our time here. So Jesse, I want to ask you, what advice would you offer another business owner, maybe hoping to reach your level of success?
Be patient in what you want for yourself, but be impatient in how much you give to others. Our first ever Fans First playbook, we had that on the back. And I think so many businesses, when they start, they're driven by how do they drive their own success? How do you drive the success of your customer, of your fan? The more fun that our fan has at our games and our shows, the better everything else is. And so for any business owner, when you're creating something, create something that you would love, that is best for your customer, best for your fan. And then in every form of messaging, whether it's on constant contact, whether it's on your social media, whether it's any type of marketing you do, is that something that you would love to receive? Would you get excited seeing that email? Would you get excited seeing that social media? Would you get excited getting that product? And if the answer is yes, you're on your path. And then the money, the revenue, everything else will take care of itself.
Well, friend, let's recap some items from that discussion. Number 1, make every decision with your customer in mind. Jesse and the team don't just say they're fans first. They prove it by eliminating ticket fees, removing ads from the stadium, and even creating their own ticketing platform to control the entire experience. Now, in everything you do, ask yourself, is this best for my customer? Let that be your filter for everything, from pricing to email frequency to your next product idea. Number 2, don't just talk about the experience, build one worth talking about. The Bananas focus on delivering moments that people can't wait to share, from players dancing in the crowd to sending personal thank you notes after each show. How can you look for ways to surprise and delight your audience? Then capture and share those moments as part of your content strategy. What's something unexpected that you could do today that would leave your customers smiling? And number 3, embrace constraints as creative fuel. Jesse started with no money, no fans, and a twin air mattress in a garage. Those limitations forced bold moves, like reinventing the game and owning the fan experience end to end. Instead of seeing your limitations as roadblocks, ask, what can I do with what I already have? Creativity often lives on the other side of, we can't afford that. So here's your action item. Think about your next customer interaction. Ask yourself, would I be excited about this? If the answer is no, go back to the drawing board. Create something you'd be a fan of, and others will be too. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Be a Marketer podcast. Please take a moment to leave us a review. Just go to ratethispodcast.com/BAM. Your honest feedback will help other small business marketers like yourself find the show. That's ratethispodcast.com/BAM. Well, friend, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day and continued success to you and your business.